The disbursement of student loans to various institutions by the federal government of Nigeria plays a crucial role in expanding access to higher education and promoting social mobility. The student loan enables students from low-income backgrounds to access higher education opportunities that they may not have been able to afford otherwise, thus promoting financial inclusion and equal opportunities for all. Not to talk of the human capital development by providing financial assistance to students. The government is investing in the development of human capital, which is essential for economic growth and national development. And in the aspect of reducing poverty, higher education opens up opportunities for individuals to secure better paying jobs, thereby reducing poverty level and improving the overall standard of living. You're welcome to Inside Today. I am Jumai Manson. I'm being joined by Mr. Christopher Balogun. He is the Deputy Registrar, Federal University of Lokoja. Don't go anywhere. The program continues shortly. Stay tuned. You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is Inside Today on Global Television. Today we're going to be looking at the federal government and the disbursement of student loans to various institutions. And like I said, I am being joined by Mr. Christopher Balogun. He is the Deputy Registrar, Federal University of Lokoja. Good afternoon, sir. Are you here on the program? Mr. Chris? Mr. Chris Balogun, are you with me on the program? Hello? Mr. Chris, are you here? Mr. Chris, are you on the program? I can barely hear him, just some slight hitches. Let's quickly go on a quick break, and Inside Today continues shortly. Don't go anywhere. You're welcome back. Apologies for that slight break in transmission, but we're back and we're better now. And so we'll be looking at the federal government, which says we'll be disbursing funds to institutions directly. And like I said, I am being joined by Mr. Christopher Balogun. He is the Deputy Registrar of the Federal University Lokoja. Good afternoon, Mr. Chris. Are you here? Good afternoon, Mr. Chris. All right, I'm sure he has some hitches, and it would have been a beautiful opportunity to talk with him one-on-one concerning this issue at hand, talking about the disbursement of the student loans directly to the institutions that are concerned by the federal government. And we will be looking at some very critical questions, sensitive questions that we need some answers when it has to do with the disbursement of these loans by the federal government to these various institutions. We'll quickly go on a quick break, and then when we return, I'm sure the network will be better for us to communicate with Mr. Christopher Balogun, who is the Deputy Registrar of the Federal University of Lokoja. Stay tuned. You're welcome back, and it's Side today, looking at the federal government and the disbursement of the student loan to various institutions. Well, some institutions have a different opinion when it comes to disbursement, especially when it has to do with public universities that say, like the University of Akure Technology, and they are saying that this will give the government a different, a heavy waiver when it comes to supporting their universities, and they do not think that this will go a long way when it comes to supporting students, will in-depth students. People have different opinions when it comes to the student loans from universities to individuals, but let us just see how well this will definitely pull through. And of course, we know the disbursement of students' loans to various universities by the federal government is a step in the right direction, and it plays a crucial role in expanding access to higher education and promoting social mobility. The student loan will enable students from low-income backgrounds, students who cannot afford proper education, who cannot afford to pay the tuition fee. This particular student loan will give a waiver when it comes to a time limit. The breakdown of payments by these institutions will go a long way for students who are from very low background, give them access to higher education opportunities that they may not have been able to afford otherwise. You look at so many students who parents cannot afford to pay their tuition fees through school. This student loan is like a breakdown of giving them stipulated time for payments to be made, and thus promoting financial inclusion, that education is for all and not just for a selected few. This equal opportunities for individuals, giving human capital development by providing this financial assistance to students goes a long way. And now you can look at it, the government is investing and trying to invest in the development of human capital, which is essential for the economic growth of the nation. And of course, the development and the aspect of reducing poverty, yes, once students or people who are eligible to be in the higher institution are being trained, it will actually reduce poverty drastically, given that higher education opens up opportunities for individuals to secure better paying jobs at the end of it all. And I want to check if I'm being joined by Mr. Christopher Balogo. Mr. Christopher, are you here with us now?
I'm here with you. I can hear you loud and clear. Sorry, it's about the technology. Your time is beyond us.
All right, Mr. Christopher Balogo. All right. Good afternoon. Thank you for being a part of the program Insight today. And Mr. Christopher Balogo, he is the Deputy Registrar of the Federal University of Lokoja. Thank you for making our time to be here on the program. Thank you. All right, Mr. Christopher, are you here?
I can hear you loud and clear.
All right, Mr. Christopher, we're looking at the federal government, that is the aspect where it has to do with the disbursement of the student loans to various institutions. Now, what circumstances necessitated the Students' Loan Initiative, which is now an act in the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Your own view.
Actually, the federal government came up with this idea, I think, around that August 2023. And the idea of the loan is to make sure that they create a kind of fund for the indigent and poor Nigerians so that they can afford tertiary education. In all contexts, the decision we can say is a welcome one, but there are lots of parameters that need to be addressed, that need to be taken care of before you can go into such a lofty aspiration. Because we need to address certain issues of the country first before we can think of coming out with this kind of ideas. There are lots of issues surrounding it. Personally, as my opinion, as lofty as it is, I have my worries. And
okay. Many individuals have their worries, but we will get to that in the long run, Mr. Christopher Balogo. Hello, Mr. Christopher, are you here? Mr. Christopher?
Yeah.
All right. I know everyone has their worries. Some individuals, some groups, some lecturers also have their worries when it comes to the disbursement of the student loans to these institutions by the federal government. But we'll get to that. Now, what is the process for the federal government of Nigeria to disperse student loans to various institutions? Do you have any clue what the process is? Since they want to be transparent, they want to carry everyone along. What process do you think the federal government will follow to disperse the student loan to various institutions?
That is where the complication comes in. The process before is you must be on an annual income of less than 500,000, and you have to provide 2 guarantors, which are supposed to be civil servants or more than of about 12 years experience. And my worry is that, can you compare 500,000 as of April last year and 500,000 now? It's a measured play. We are experiencing galloping inflation. Most of these decisions or process or policy that they implemented is we experiencing a strange period that we have to be careful about the kind of policy we implement. Already there is a kind of complicity or crisis when it comes to the implementation of this student loan, because the stipulation, what is 500,000? How to repay it? It's another bone of contention. Then you're expecting a civil servant to come and I won't guarantee any student. I'm sorry. That will put some of us into deep trouble, because if I guarantee, that maybe my meager pension will be the one that will be used to at least buffer the payment when the student default or defaulted, which is likely to be the case. There are lots of issues surrounding it. You know, at times we go to the West and embrace what is being done there, not minding our strange peculiarities that is being exacerbated by endemic corruption. And now we're experiencing galloping inflation. How do we do it? The country as a whole, the government is being funded on exuberancy. We are so yeah, we never address it, and we say with the West. Sorry, I have to digress a bit. When you talk about endowment fund, they said in the university in United States that they have the endowment fund that runs into million. Yes, we have the athletics department in some university that earn more than $1 billion, $2 billion, $10 billion for the university because great names like Michael Jordan, Scott Pippen, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, they all play professional basketball and they earn their money and endowment in millions and they give back to the society. In Nigeria, which student can give you 1 million, 10 million? It's really possible. So when you say they should repay from where? With what?
Exactly.
If not, there's no availability of job. You are talking about remain. I'll look at the whole process and get me worried. I don't like maybe coming, maybe criticizing the policy of government. Maybe we're in a strange period. You don't want to do anything. You have to study the peculiarity. We're experiencing galloping that has never been experienced before, and everything is linked. I don't want to go into other issues here, but I have my reservations.
All right. All right. Talking about, we're facing a lot of issues in Nigeria. Now, we spoke about being a guarantor with 500,000 naira, and you mentioned some of the criteria. Now, but what we read, research that has been made, this particular student loan wants to carry everyone along, even those that have low income, individuals that cannot pay tuition fees to their children through school. Now, would you say this particular criteria can actually give a segregation to some individuals or people that want to further their education with all of these? You mentioned the guarantor, 500,000, but people do not even have that kind of money. So looking at that critically, how well would that play out in carrying everyone along?
Man, you've answered my worries for me already. So if I have to be arrested, I'll refer to your statement because you see a family that maybe they only have a person of that status, maybe one. Do you think they be willing to even be a guarantee anybody? Like me, there's no way I will guarantee any student for any loan because I would not like to come into disrepute with the federal government. I would not like to endanger my own job by guaranteeing anybody because the reality is that there's no job. When this student, where will he get the job to even pay in the first place? It takes time. Then you want me to come and guarantee? It's a fallacy. I don't want to go into any other topic because what we are discussing also have link with other crises. You are talking about corruption. There are lots of factors that you consider when you are considering the disbursement. Multiple projects of the government have been thwarted by selfish Nigerians that don't have any nationalistic value for the country. So now coming with this same policy of student loan gets me very worried because how many people have access to people of that status, 12 years experience in the civil service, and you need two of them, then you are talking about less than 500,000. 500,000 is if you earn less than 500,000 in a year, you're a very, very poor man, extremely poor. So to survive this people, so me, I'm just when I look at the topic, all I want to do is to end my day and go and sleep and forget about this topic because it's a topic that gives anybody worries. I appreciate you people looking into it because the bottleneck is more than even the opportunities. When you look at the preponderance, what do we tend to benefit? Another means of waste. I don't want to mention other policies that they've implemented that have come to waste, conditional, cash transfer, the feeding program. You came up with the program of feeding the indigent people, and the number of dropouts in primary school increased over time. How do you reconcile it? That means wasn't working. Yeah, I don't want to go into that aspect. There are lots of things in Nigeria that we're supposed to have expunged because I don't want to go into other issues like so-called, I don't know. No, we're on global TV.
Mr. Christopher Balogun, looking at it on another angle now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, his administration is 9 months. We should give kudos that he's trying to give this high level when it comes to education. We should, and there should be kudos when it comes to that, not minding or comparing to other administrations who, well, in some people's words, have failed in the past. But let's look at the brighter side of it. The carrying along of individuals who cannot afford to pay their tuition fee at once. At least that's a step in the right direction, don't you think? Even if we see some challenges and some individuals skeptical about this payment plan when it comes to the disbursements to institutions, don't you think?
Ma, go and check every literature on Nigeria today. They'll talk about endemic corruption. Everybody is corrupt. This money will be diverted, whether we like it or not. It won't get to the end users. I can confidently say it. Maybe implementation success will be 10 or 15%, but the bitter truth is that at the end of the day, it will be used for something else. The reality is that the system has not been sanitized. We have the same in charge, the same cabal, the same cartels, the same money bag, the same unpatriotic Nigeria in the system that to undermine or underscore the good intention of this love child. They say it's a love child idea, but there are so many things that have not been addressed, for God's sake. We have this issue of corruption. People can't even account for anything. I'm being careful not to go outside this topic. When you talk about the integrity of the university system, we know what happened in the election when the so-called professors and student academic compromised the electoral processes. Are they the one to look into this issue and there won't be crisis or there won't be undermining of it or diversion of these funds? Me, I don't trust the system that will implement it. I don't trust the process that will implement it. If you are assigned to the commercial bank on disbursement, and is it not the same commercial bank that is responsible for the forest failure? Everybody is shouting about the free fall of Naira. But we know that when central bank give funds to commercial bank, they sell it to their advocates and they invest it. And all of them make profits at the detriment of the country's economic stability or growth and development. There are lots of issues that we not address. No, like I always appreciate your topic. It's thought-provoking and it's brainstorming. Each time you come with your topic, I say, well, this man has I have to start thinking. And I don't want to think too much, man. I've been thinking that how will I address this problem without going outside this topic? Because it doesn't exist alone. It coexists with other issues. And the issues have not been resolved. It's not like me now. I want to treat malaria fever. And I still stay in a mosquito-infested environment. And I treated myself. And went back. What am I going to am I not enjoying myself or create a room whereby the parasite will become more resilient to treatment? So that.
All right, I think we're experiencing some network hitches there.
My own worries are concerned. Since you gave me.
All right, Mr. Christopher Balogo, are you there?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Now, next question I want to ask. I know with all of these criteria, the hitches, I think that's why the disbursement is going through, the federal government is making this disbursement to the institutions directly, dealing with the institutions directly, but we will get to that. Now, how does the government determine the eligibility, the criteria for institutions to receive student loans for this disbursement, in your own opinion?
Come again, please.
No, I said, how does the government determine the eligibility, the criteria for institutions to receive student loan for disbursement?
It's clear now. It was stated that they must check out the income level of the fund. There must be less than 500,000, which is ridiculous in spite of the present economic realities. And you must be able to provide, and the student you must prove that the student is actually very poor. It's an indigent student. Yeah, and you have to produce two guarantors of civil servant of nothing less than 12 years of experience. So that maybe when the student defaulted, they'll see your pension that you work, that meager pension will be stopped or be used as collateral. So I don't know. Me, I've understood the Nigerian system. I have a dean that guaranteed somebody that got a work with Madina University. This person got sacked in less than 7 months. and incur a debt of over 3 million. My dean suffered for 3 years before she could stabilize because they keep on deducting her money. That was like 4 years ago when money has value. So I know the implication when you say guarantor. Guarantee what? Someone that is not sure of survival, someone that is poor, someone that the means of making it is so. Man, we on global TV, but let me tell you the truth. This real thought provoking you get issues, and it is working when it comes to thinking or maybe intellectual process for it. But it's also vital. It's important that it has to be addressed. The reality is that, well, I'm a very hopeful person, but I can't go hopeful on this because even when you talk about the university system, there's some theory that when people, poor people tend to compromise. Do you know that an average university staff are not rich anymore? They are poor. They are not even in the middle class category. They struggle to meet ends. The other time, ASU came out there, ASU chairman came out to say that they lost some amount of academics due to this contemporary economic reality situation. So I don't know how there will be transparency in the disbursement because the Nigerian fact will come crypto patrimonial qualities or patrimonial qualities. If I remove the crypto, people tend to favor who they know. People that are closest to them, people that are more loyal to them. You can't take a view from the African context. We have a social political culture that will even undermine the transparency of the whole process if it can be transparent. So what you are giving me now is
All right, Mr. Christopher. Now, we've talked about the criteria for the students in order to get this student loan. But how about the criteria for the universities, the institutions? Do they have any in order for these loans to be disbursed to these? Because it's not all universities that can come out and you will give the student loan to. What if some universities are not functioning, are not in line with the code and conduct of the federal government? So do you have any, are there any criteria for these higher institutions that these student loans will be disbursed to?
what is the pedigree of the university to validate a student for this loan? I don't think they have any. It's based on trust and hope, and it's not enough. So these issues that are supposed to be factual and evidential based, but you just want to assume, okay, how do you say the student is poor? How do you say a student family is poor that is any less than 500,000? It's absurd. The condition that was laid down, the university, no matter that, it has to be streamlined with the policy of the federal government. At the end of the day, even if the university laid out their criteria according to their own peculiarity, the other factors of patronage comes in. We run based on patronage. People that we know that are loyal to us will always be supported, even when we don't meet the criteria. People that are favorably disposed to us will always be supported or favored. So the process, Mark, will end up being an embarrassment, national embarrassment as far as I'm concerned. I don't think it will work. I even the collection out, they say they don't. You know, there are so many literatures backing the whole process. Some say it should be repaid in 2 years, some say within 10 years, some say depending on the nature of the loan, it can be between 10 to 30 years. I don't even know which one to believe. Already there's crisis in the kind of information that is getting to the public space. So, me, I'm not just comfortable. We are still as corrupt as ever. We are still as nepotistic and tribalistic as ever. And it has not been addressed. I want us to suddenly become transparent when funding is involved. I bet it. Do you know why the lecturers in some of the aspects of the University of Technology are protested? They felt it's also a means of empowering some of the political bigwigs that have university. to
Well,
divert
we're going
funds
to come to
for.
that, Mr. Christopher Balogun. Now, I know you spoke about corruption. I know you spoke about some of the red flags that you see when it comes to the student loan. But in your own opinion, how can institutions ensure there is transparency, accountability in the disbursement of these student loans?
Ma, I'm not our Lord Jesus Christ of Nazareth, so I can't guarantee anything. The system is already endemic. The system is already polarized. The system is already corrupted by all men you can think of. So I don't know how they suddenly become transparent or honest. In a system that favoritism exists, in a system that nepotistic values exist, in a system that tribalism exists, in a system that patronage is the order of the day, it can't be reached away under 2 days or 1 week or 2 months. It has to be some these are things that are already ideologically based. It's socially based. It's in fact part of our socio-political culture. So for me to just say, oh, so that I can make you happy, we should discard it and tell what you like. I'm somebody that don't like being pessimistic on national team because you can be quoted for it, you can be in fact rounded off for it. But the truth, you just put something that is pertinent to the growth and development of Nigerian university, to the growth of and development of Nigerian students. But the process alone, when we talk about the student, thank God it's not in that of our student union because they have been I can't give an inch of trust to our student union government because they are stooges of the politicians now. So I'm happy that they're even thinking that maybe it should be university based. The university itself has problems that have not been addressed.
But don't
And
you
it is
think...
not problem that.
All right, Mr. Christopher Balogun, don't you think they should be, with all of these things you have said, looking at how corrupt all of these process can be, don't you think there should be mechanisms that should be put in place to monitor the use of the student loan funds by these institutions?
I suppose not to be signed on over TV, but which mechanics can I advocate in a system that is not even ready to resolve the crisis on ground? Okay, maybe the mechanism is that we should try to be transparent. And I should employ the idealistic school of thought that everything should be smooth, everything should be fine, things go without complications. Maybe from the idealist perspective, yeah, when the funds comes, the university management staff or administrators should be very prudent. They make sure they identify the recipients, people that are actually indigent, people that have already fulfilled the criteria for disbursement of the loan and give it to them, blah, 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 and they collect their loan and they're happy and guarantee comes to ensure that they pay the.
All right, Mr. Christopher Balogun, we're experiencing some a little bit of network hitch there, but are you, Mr. Christopher, are you there? Mr. Christopher Balogun. All right, let's quickly go on a quick break. Inside Today, we'll be back shortly. Stay tuned. You're welcome back, and it's Inside Today if you're just joining in. And I am being joined by Mr. Christopher Balogun. He is the Deputy Registrar, Federal University of Lokoja. And we're looking at the federal government and the disbursement of the student loan to various institutions. Like we know, the student loan disbursement promotes social equality by ensuring that education is accessible to all individuals regardless of their financial background, thereby reducing inequalities in the society. Now, we understand that access to student loans allow institutions to attract a diverse range of students, thereby enhancing the quality and diversity of educational experience and contributing to overall educational excellence. And looking at it critically, we've seen that the criteria has to do with you have to have a minimum of 500,000 naira, and the guarantors that will stand. And like what Mr. Christopher Balogun said, we know what the economy is saying now. How many people can actually vouch or stand in when it comes to the student loan for an individual? Like, I want to ask him that what steps can students take if they encounter delays or problems with the disbursement of their student loans, or if they cannot pay on time. And I'm sure Mr. Christopher Balogun will be joining us shortly. Hello, Mr. Christopher, are you here?
I'm here with you, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Christopher, you're welcome back to the part 2 of the program Inside Today. Now, I want to ask, we mentioned about the guarantors that will, 2 guarantors and the 500,000 minimum when it comes to the individual's finance that will stand in for that student. Now, what steps can students take if they encounter delays or problems with the disbursement, if they disbursement of the student loans or delay in payment?
What can do? Nothing now. We are, as usual, thank God, we are very faith-inclined people. They invoke their faith level, pray to God, or pray and that God should provide. And funny enough, God has the way of always providing for the poor. And if God doesn't provide, they will see it as an act that they don't have to be in university. Because already the system, before we review our school university tuition fee upward, we always have challenges of student paying just at 49,000. Some it takes a whole year to pay. Some they have to defer the semester, the whole session, because they can't pay. You have issues like that. And now that the school fees have been reviewed upward, they still struggle to pay. For sure, parents sell land, they meet their loved ones. Thank God we have people in diaspora. As economy is poor now, you have the good part. If you have someone that is there, by the time you send $100, $200, $300, you can solve all the problems. So you know that there's nothing without that tender disability and advantage. Even the free fall of the naira, it's a blessing to some people. Because I know a family that have challenge of school fees. One of the family members, this time I just decided to send them $500. And suddenly they are millionaires. They are happy for the first time. So I just pray that this is where idealistic value have to come in. You have to want to believe the ideal situation. But the reality is that it's not funny. There's nothing they can do. It's either to receive divine intervention or humanitarian support from highly spirited Nigeria, or they follow the system and go back to maybe their farms or menial labor or crime. Because that's the only way out. When someone doesn't have a job for a long time, he resort to criminal activities. That's why crime is on the increase. So what you presented has many links to other social vices, and I don't see anything. It's a complex thing in view of the prevailing economic crisis in Nigeria. We know what the manufacturers are talking about. They reduce the quality of product to meet up. We know what the contractors are talking about, the rising cost of cement. We know what the producer of cement are also talking. They say with the forex, everything is linked. So when you talk about students not being able to access, how can they access the loan? Already it's problematic. To access the loan will be very, very difficult if it works.
All right, Mr. Christopher Balogun, with all of these things you've said, do you think this student loan is realistic? Looking at it from all angles when it comes to individuals from very poor backgrounds who cannot afford 2 square meals a day, their parents are out of jobs, they sell their lands, that is if they even have lands at all. Do you think it's realistic when it comes to paying back?
When it comes to paying back from the idealistic point of view, because we have the idealist school of thought, that we call the utopian dreamer. From the realistic point of view, it's very, very realistic. But from the realist point of view, it's unrealistic. It's idealistic. That is just the how can you pay back when you are not sure of the job? People that even the people that have competent economic base.
All right, we've gone off again with the network. I am sure Mr. Christopher will be joining us.
Know how
Okay.
I'm sorry, I do not, you know, I want to make you happy by saying what you to by giving you hope, but I don't know
Please
how
be
to put out to
realistic and be
my
truthful. You don't have to make me.
okay, okay, because it has a faulty foundation already. It was based on a faulty premises. So what good do you want to come out of it?
When you say
The
faulty
system is
premises, when
already
you, Mr. Christopher Balogun, when you say faulty premises, what do you mean? Can you enlighten us on that faulty premises?
okay. From the intention of the government are good, but the nature of Nigerians have not been changed. From the government perspective, from the student perspective, from the parent perspective, from the university perspective, from the
How
people
about the
that even
economic?
build that are the idea perspective, is it not at all? Why you yourself you are finding you are not optimistic about the reality of this thing being a successful project because we have not addressed the ills that is governing the general society first. I want to bring in something that has to do with funds that can be divested, that can corruption is still the as endemic as ever. So what want us to do? And you know already we said 500,000. 500,000 as of April last year, as of August last year was a good amount of money. But 500,000 now is a paper money, it's nothing. Then how do you access it for someone that's earning less than 500,000? Are we all public servants? You know, at times when you look at some of the narratives of Nigerian civil servants, especially the so-called labor union, you start thinking that is Nigeria consisted of government workers, lady government worker for that matter, because how many work do they do? The reality is that this salary increment, my own position is that government should not give a damn, they should not give a shit. They should not give a dime
Okay,
of that money
okay,
because
please,
you know,
let's
if you
be
are
careful with our
let me
words.
now see. The
Let's be
government
careful with
have
our
challenges
words.
with their recurrent
Please.
expenditure. They are borrowing so much to pay the salary. Then you want to increase the salary when we're in the state of a recession, we're in a state of inflation. There's no country that increases salary when they're in this debt state. I remember 2019, I had an interview with Rule of Law Foundation, and I was before the deputy governor of Central Bank, and I told them that if President Muhammadu Buhari succumb to the blackmail of the Nigerian labour union, that we are going to pay dearly for it, that our debt profile is alarming, and we spend so much on recurrent expedition that goes into salaries, overhead and interest. Then the capital project that's supposed to fund the economy, that's supposed to drive the economy, is being funded is less than 20%. And then the debt profile for sustaining the recurrent expense is less than 1 billion. But immediately they increase salary, it jump into trillions. That's why our money, do you know, because of this forex crisis, our loan debt profile last year, first quarter of last year was 49.8 trillion. But now it's about 89, 80 something trillion. It's so worrisome. So there are lots of things that when you look at it, you get worried, man. You know, I say there's linkages. I love the fact that each time you invite me, you make me go into research. I have to start thinking because it's not the normal interview that you just sit down and be happy and everybody will be happy and you talk to yourself and you go out happy. Each time you interview me, I go home worried, sad and angry. But it's also for me to also do the little I can in my community, in my environment, or in the organization I find myself, improve the life. I appreciate it, but it's
Okay.
tough.
All right, all right. Please don't go home worried, sad, and angry. The truth must be told. That's the most important thing. Now, the way forward. Now, how do you think government can calculate the amount of funding allocated to each institutions for the student loans, in your own opinion, in order for there to be transparency, equality, equalization? How do you think the government can actually calculate all of these things?
Ma, until we address the issue of endemic corruption, until we address the issue of cabals and cartels, until we address the issue of nepotistic values, tribalism, ethnicity, and other vices. I don't see how we can effectively address it. Maybe we may have some percentage of success, but when you consider the programs, I think at the end of the day it will all be a wasteful venture, because I don't see how the poorest of the poor will benefit from the project. And when they benefit, that means it be a government jamboree to fund some people to support certain, to at least let them have a feel of the national cake, because the premises already, the foundation has poorly built. If you look at the inflationary level, if you look at the level of distrust in the system, if you look at the level of even untrustworthiness of the Nigerian citizen, including the university doyens, they are not immune from it. Everything happened with our exploit at the election or electionary process, where they are the custodian of money transfer also between politicians and electorates. So all those factors uh, already are there, and you can't weed them away and you want to have it. It's not like you telling me that you take money to Zamfara in a car through a bandit infested area, and you ask me to travel in the night to go to and fro and come back safely within a span of 7 days. The tendency that I'll be attacked or kidnapped is very high now. These vices are there. And when you tell me to prefer to be optimistic with these vices that is staring at us straight in the face, I can't be optimistic about it. I made a resolution that I will never come on national TV to undermine any processes. But unfortunately, as Rami said, if we are truthful to ourselves, how can it work? Then I can't bow for anybody that is hungry. An hungry man is an angry man. And someone that is hungry compromise. They sell their birthright. So, and with the issue of all this patrimonial quality that Nigeria exhibited, I don't know how we can wish it away overnight. I don't want to put the clip to in front so that it won't be negative.
Oh,
But the reality is that
all right. For this student loan to be beneficial for everyone, including the students involved, and also it's a great joy to households who cannot afford to pay their tuition fee. Do you think there are any regulations or guidelines that institutions must follow when receiving and using student loans funds from the government?
guideline to be followed. I don't know of any guideline to be followed. It's not until they are saying this so that they follow the guideline that it should be used for the specific that is meant for, which is payment of tuition, you get, so that you can be.
Of course.
Of course, well, for the level of those that will be successful, I believe it has been streamlined that as the money is disbursed, it goes straight into your academics. And maybe the essence they have been, no, the reality is that it has not even been properly factored out. They are just already they have their doubts. The people felt that it may be one of these white elephant projects, because I mentioned the conditional cash transfer that nobody knows of. No account, nobody, it wasn't audited, it wasn't gazetted, you just say you transfer this by mention on national TV in public place and institute. Then the other one that has to do with school feeding. You say you are feeding primary school, secondary school students that have indigent background, and you're those that you can call the poorest of the poor. And at the end of the day, the number of dropouts increased by quantum percentage. How do you reconcile it? That means the policies failed woefully. And we are having the same thing now, staring at us. I don't know how to regulate it. The reality is that some students that are even rich may even access the loan than indigent students. Those that have political connection, they may access the loan. That's the honest truth.
All
You
right,
that
let me
are
ask
close
you
to
one more.
management.
All right. All right, Mr. Christopher Balogo. Let me ask you one more question before we call it a day and we wrap it up on Insight Today. Now, of course, some people are for or against this particular student loan. Now, why do some lecturers under the aegis of an academic staff union of universities, especially the Federal University of Technology Akure chapter, reiterated its rejection of the proposed student loan scheme initiated by President Bola Tinubu's administration? They feel the funds will keep students in permanent debt and it will starve public institutions from funds they get from the government. Why is that so?
It should leave any challenges that will undermine the process. If they're up to 10, I will confidently say all of the above. Yes, it will keep the student permanently in debt. Their level of indebtedness will increase. You know, we are talking about the poor, the indigent to the poorest of the poor. When they have to borrow to pay their tuition and they finish without hope of paying back, because getting a job is another question we have to put. Everybody is engaged in entrepreneurship whereby you can go and establish a cottage industry to sustain yourself. But how many people have the resource to establish any cottage industry? Or except you want to be a sole trader. To even be a sole trader whereby you sell tomato in a store, maybe in a market at the roadside, it involves more funding. How will they get these funds? How will they sustain it? You know, talk like for payment of loan. The lecturer also said.
All right, Mr. Christopher Balogun. The lecturer said what? Hello, Mr. Chris, are you there with us? Hello, Mr. Christopher Balogun. Are you still here? Oh, wow. At this point, we have to call it a wrap on the program. Okay, Mr. Christopher, you're here? Mr. Christopher?
Which is the truth? They might have to fund.
All right, Mr. Christopher, we have to wrap it up on the program Insight Today. If you can hear me, thank you so much for being a part of the program. And as we conclude, Mr. Christopher Balogun is the Deputy Registrar, Federal University, Lokoja. Thank you so much for being a part of the program. I am extremely grateful. Thank you, Mr. Christopher.
You're welcome.
For airing your views. Thank you. Thank you. All right, with that, I have to wrap it up on the program, but we can now conclude that the disbursement of student loans to various institutions by the federal government of Nigeria is essential, and we can say an avenue for promoting educational opportunities, empowering individuals, and driving economic and social development in the country. But some beg to differ. But let's see how well this goes. Like what Mr. Christopher Balogun said, it will actually, more students will be indebted and a lot of things will go wrong because there are lots of red flags when it comes to the student loan and, of course, the disbursement to the various institutions. We'll just have to continue watching and exploring and knowing how far this will go. Thank you for being a part of Insight Today. I am Jubai Manson. Join me same time tomorrow. Have an amazing day ahead. Good afternoon. Bye-bye.